Hey guys, I wanted to bring another story a viewer wrote in about, and it's probably one of the biggest fears that any of us that are married have. So let's just get right into this. And excuse me, I'm going to read it because I just got it today. So I'm going to go through it with you fresh. Scott, please don't identify the city I'm from and use the names that you make up. This is embarrassing enough for me. Okay, and I thought of a good name for you. It had a little experience for me when I was a young police officer, way back when I was a young man. And one of my training officers made me, I think he set me up for this because he made a guy give me this name, and I put it out over the radio, and everybody knew, kind of like I was the village idiot for a while for not recognizing it. But we're going to give this man the name of Richard Cabeza. So if anybody knows what the last name Cabeza is, Head, Richard, Dick. And anyway, so Richard Cabeza is your name for today. Richard says, I'm a 52-year-old man. I've been married 17 years and never thought I'd be the guy to walk in on his wife who was cheating on him. But here I am, that guy. Last Thursday, I came home a little early from work. I had a headache and figured I could finish up reports from home and do everything else I needed, and also surprise my wife. I walked in through the garage door like I always do, a pizza in my arm and my laptop slung over my shoulder. I noticed her car was in the driveway, which was nothing unusual. And what was unusual was that the house was too quiet. There was no TV, no kitchen noise, no music, just a strange silence. And then he heard it. A sound he says he can't unhear, and we can imagine what that sound is. Richard dropped the bag and the pizza on the floor and stepped up the stairs slowly, trying not to make a sound. But it really didn't matter since they were loud enough. Our bedroom door wasn't fully shut and just slightly ajar, enough to see shadows moving. My first instinct wasn't anger, it was confusion, shock, like my brain was buffering. I pushed the door slowly open, and there they were, my wife of 17 years and some guy in our bed. I recognized him instantly, not from work, not a friend, just a guy I'd seen around the neighborhood. I think he lives a few streets over, and I think his name is Brian or Byron, something like that. We'd said hey in passing a few times at the HOA pool and once in the gym. He was one of those fit suburban dads with a smug smile and expensive sneakers. I never gave him a second thought until now. They both froze. My wife looked like a deer in the headlights, and he had the audacity to try to cover himself, like that would somehow make it less humiliating. I didn't say a word. I just stared at him and her for a few seconds, and then I walked out. Richard says, let me be clear. I almost lost it. My fists clenched so hard, my knuckles popped. For a second, I felt like I wasn't in control of my body. That deep, primal male rage surged up through my chest, screaming for me to go back in there and beat the living hell out of him, maybe even them both. But he didn't. Not because I'm some saint or overly enlightened guy, but because I know myself. I've worked hard for years to build a decent life, a decent career, and a reputation. I've seen what happens to men who let that rage take over. They end up in handcuffs, they end up losing everything, and I'd already lost enough. Now I'll stop right there. That right there is the best thing he could have done at that moment. Every one of us wants to whoop the living shit out of that guy. Just beat him into a pulp. But you know what? Every one of us will end up in jail. Every one of us will lose everything we have, and we'll give it all to her. We'll give everything to that cheating wife because of that one moment we lost control. And all of us are saying, you know what, it will be worth it spending a few days in jail and everything else, but it won't be, because that guy's going to heal and you'll never heal. You'll never get all those things back that she's going to take from you, because she's going to say that you drove her to that, and that's what you were doing to her all the time. So I digress. Let me get back to it. So I walked out, I slammed the front door, and I drove away and haven't been back. Our life wasn't perfect, not even close. We had problems like every marriage does. The last couple of years, things have gotten cold. She stopped touching me. Conversations became short. She'd go to bed early or stay up late scrolling on her phone. I thought it was stress, hormones, boredom. I thought maybe I'd changed, gotten older, less exciting. But I never thought she was cheating. She always played the moral one, judgment of others. If you're unhappy, you talk about it. She used to say, you don't sneak around. That was one of her favorite phrases. It turns out it was just total bullshit, not a belief. She texted me later that night, said she was sorry, that it wasn't serious, that she'd explain everything. I didn't reply. I went to a cheap hotel by the freeway. I needed time to think, and 3 days passed before I knew it. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I just sat there trying to wrap my head around it all. What does a man do when the woman he built his life with stabs him in the heart like that? When the home you paid for becomes the stage of your greatest humiliation? The truth is, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt insulted, disrespected, and deceived. But I felt something else. It was relief. As insane as that sounds, there was a weird freedom in it. The truth was finally out. I didn't have to keep pretending everything was fine. I didn't have to try to fix something that she'd already thrown in the trash. I'm filing for divorce. That's decided. There's no coming back from this. Truth once shattered like this doesn't get repaired. But there's another question that's been eating at me, and that's what I want help with. Do I tell his wife? The man she was screwing, he's married. I don't know her name, but I've seen her. She's walked the dog with him in the park. I think they have kids. She looks like a kind, soft-spoken woman. Doesn't she deserve to know? Doesn't she have the right to make her own choices based on the truth? Or is that me just being vindictive? Would I be telling her to help her or hurt her? What would you do? That's a great, great question. I think that's something every one of us wants to be vindictive and just make that son of a bitch hurt as much as he's hurt us. Because it was not only her, it was him too doing it to us. So, what I would do, you know what? I don't think I would tell her. The reason being is, what good is going to come out of that? You can say, okay, man, he's going to get back and everything else. Maybe she already knows. You're putting hurt, like you said, you're trading your hurt and transferring it to her because you want to get back at him. And that's not something I think you want to get into. What I might do is I might tell him, you tell her or I will. Force his hand that way. And then if he doesn't, he doesn't. That's on to him. But I wouldn't go and be the person to go to her and destroy her family. That's just not something that I would be comfortable with. Because like he said, she has and he have kids together. You're not destroying not only him, but her family and those kids. And that's not something that I think I would be comfortable with if it was me in your situation. I would just let his own destiny, it's going to either, he can tell her or he doesn't, but he's got to live with it. What you really need to do, though, is focus on yourself. Focus on what is going to become of you. Now, you did a few things right. Like I said before, you walked away from that situation because that situation would have gotten you nothing but trouble. You would have ended up being the loser in that whole thing. There's a lot of guys in prison for that. A lot of guys have done a lot of bodily harm, taken lives, other things that they truly regret. And you had at least the sense to walk away from it and stay out of trouble. The other thing you did right was you got out of there. You didn't come back. You didn't respond to her. You know what? She's not deserving of a response. She made her bed, so to speak. Now she has to lay in it. That's it. She did it. She took her future, flushed it down the toilet for some guy that lives down the street. Do you think that guy's going to move in with her? Is he going to leave his wife? No. She's going to end up being a cat lady, living alone, because there's no damn chance that some guy that's 50 years old is going to take up with her. Her destiny now is 3 cats in her house, and that's it. That's her destiny. You, on the other hand, get yourself through this. You are able to find others. We are men. We can find younger women. We have stuff with us. We are a prize, and we can do that. If you're not into younger women, you can find women your own age, because there's plenty of those cat ladies out there that want somebody, that will fight for somebody like you. So you did the right thing. The second thing is just concentrate on yourself right now. Worry about yourself, getting yourself back into the proper mental state, the proper physical state, and the financial state. Get all your things in a row right now. Really concentrate. Like you said, you're filing for divorce. You need to get that going. Don't let her strike first. The person who does it first and gets their things in order is the one that comes out on top. So you need to get your attorney, you need to get that paperwork filed, and you need to have all your financial documents going for you and ready. Let her sweat over that stuff. Don't worry about her. Start getting yourself mentally prepared for this. It's going to take you down a notch. It's going to bring you down even further, because divorce is tough. It is truly tough on guys, especially guys our age. So just make sure that you get yourself ready, mentally prepared. Have yourself a support group. You did the best thing you could right now, is you reached out to people. You may not know them, but you're reaching out right now and letting people give you some advice. Let them tell you what has happened, what's gone on with their lives when something like this has happened. Okay? Talk to your friends. It's tough, I know, especially for guys our age, to find somebody that they can open up to. It really is. And that's kind of why I'm doing this too. It's kind of an anonymous thing, so people can open up in a sense without having to have that embarrassment of saying, hey, my marriage failed. I'm 50, I'm 60 years old, I'm 65 years old, and my marriage failed. And I want to talk to somebody about it, but I don't have anybody to do it. So if you don't have somebody, I suggest, like I say to many people, get therapy. Go online, get a therapist online, somebody non-judgmental. You can put a little piece of paper over the video screen so you're not even seen. You're just talking. And no one can see you, and you can just express your feelings to somebody. What is going on in your life? You need to get that off your chest. It will help you immensely if you do that. Believe me, it took me a long time when my marriage broke that I finally decided that I needed somebody to talk to. I just couldn't hold it all inside. It was killing me. And that will help you a lot. Now, you're going to be tempted all the time now, because you have something that you can hurt somebody with. You have that information that you can try to hurt him and try to indirectly hurt your wife with. And it is going to be very tempting, because it's not going to go away. You have that information. I would suggest don't do it. You won't get any satisfaction out of it. Just put that out of your mind. Just go, it's what is done is done. He has to live with that now. It's not your job to tell his wife. Now, I ask anybody else out there, please leave a comment, because I take these letters And it's for everyone out there. It's for everyone to kind of help an individual, because we've all been through this based upon our experiences, what we should do in these situations. Please, if you haven't, subscribe, but even more so, leave comments. That is what this is about, because I tell everyone that sends these in when I'm going to record the video and when I'm going to publish it. So they're on the lookout for your comments. And that's what I really want, is people to leave comments. And guys, remember, there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be a life after your wife. Okay? So if you have a story, send me an email, talkingdivorceafterwife@yahoo.com. If I have questions, I'll send you an email back, but I try to get them out as quickly as I can, at least once a week. And I try to condense it down a little bit, but get your idea there. And from now on, I'm not using anybody's name or their hometown. So don't worry about that. Till the next one.